It's on Berlingrad.
Well, actually, Titan, there's a delay. It's a 2-minute delay between what we say and what goes out. But you know what? Let's introduce these players anyways. In the bottom right in the red, in what is effectively a rematch of the last series, just with different players, it's Future.
Is this the World Team League? Because from Storm Gaming, it is the Blue Zerg from Canada. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Bioice. And you know, it's going to be nice to have a good old-fashioned TVZ where we both get to talk about the races that we play.
What are you talking about? I don't play StarCraft. I just say enough about it that maybe I can convince people who don't know anything about the game that I know something about it. My job here is just literally to look pretty, which I don't know how I get the job then because my face is not on camera when we're in game. But, you know, yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, man.
Yeah. I mean, I think instead of the player cams, we should have caster cams of our faces while we're casting so they can get like, you know, the nice close-ups of us as we alt-tab when the other caster is talking to check a stat or something and, you know, taking a sip of water. I feel like that would be very, you know, interactive.
Unironically, for like big events. So I'm actually pulling this more from Dota, where they have some casters that are super emotive when they cast. And I think in general, the bigger the event is, the more hype it is. We see casters here. It would be somewhat nice. They in Dota, they actually see clips of their casters get posted occasionally when they do something like back in a former TI capitalist who's a commentator went and like spilled his water bottle all over himself. And because he was so excited about what was happening. And stuff like that, I know that happens. It's impossible to get really hype and cast and just kind of keep yourself static and not doing anything. Ooh, grenade though. Nah, it's not going to trap the Reaper, but it almost did. There was a chance. There was a chance, Titan. But it would be kind of fun to, I don't know, have that for like Katowice to have a little picture-in-picture occasionally of, you know, pig freaking out.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know there are quite a few other esports that do it. Of course. Oh, Future gonna be able to snag one more ling here. Already getting two, maybe a third. Oh, so close. They're actually just gonna keep this Reaper here because all the lings are low health. Should be able to focus fire that last one down, but the Queen denies any more shenanigans. You're not beyond Future. Get out of here. Yeah, I know a few other esports do it, so it would be cool to see that, especially in LAN events, integrated. Because of course, here at our personal desk, there's only so much flailing around we can do when something happens, without hitting something that we very much care about. I have, you know, a few little knickknacks here and there, but with that being said, this TVZ, pretty standard openings. You're going to be having the 1-1-1 from Future, and when you look at both these players, of course, and the standings, I mentioned it briefly before, but Bioice sitting at 0-3, Future at 1-2. Bioice has had a rough start, a very, very rough start. He's played some pretty tough opponents. I think he started against Scarlet, then Epic, and then Namshar. And so, of course, the Namshar series is one where maybe you're saying, oh, well, maybe you could have won that, but obviously Epic and Scarlet have had great starts to their group stages. Oh my, what? 2 Hellions for 8? That is... And the Hellion gets out?
That happened. That was a thing that happened in this video game, Titan. That should never happen. I feel like we saw Future do this to trigger in the day one, right? Where we saw something similar to Hellions. They dove in, they got 8 probes, and it's like, well, this should never happen, but Future seems to have a penchant for making it happen anyways. That one Hellion does have to run away because it is very low. And I mean, I kind of want to see Future just send that one back to get repaired, because at this point, you're on 4 HP, you've been value, but it's not, you know that Bioice isn't going to immediately target it down. So really, send that one back home just so you do have the consistent or just more value out of it. But it looks like for now, he's just going to kind of keep it at the back of things. As Banshee looks to dive into the main base while Bioice is maybe distracted. So he's going to get a creep tumor. Actually, I think that looks like it got canceled. Didn't see a Hellion shot go out. It just died anyways. Banshee in the main base looking for hold position where the drones are. And he's actually not getting any of them to start. A bunch of wounded ones, but none dead. And the Banshee seems to be dealt with for now.
Yeah, I mean, it's got a nice position here, but you're not really going to get any more drones unless you try and get onto that gas geyser. And there we go. Is going to get a few of them low, but we're not seeing any pickoffs just yet as the Hellions try and dive back in. Not able to get it just yet. But the Banshee's just being annoying, and Bioice has not moved that Spore Crawler over. 6 drones have gone down, and mind you, this is 6 additional drones on top of the ones that have already fallen. So we're seeing 15 drones killed in this early game, and now Future is going to dive into the third with the Hellions since there's an opening. And he's going to find a pretty good trade here. Sure, the Hellions will go down, but it's a lot of Lings that get roasted and toasted, and boy, does it smell like chicken, because we just had a barbecue here on the Zerg side of the map, but both Banshees go down.
I went into this series and I was talking up about how good Bioice has looked recently. He's taken maps off Korean pros. He took a map off Beyond in an online cup recently. And even in like EPTs and things like that, we're seeing him beat players that a month ago he was not beating. But it's a hole. It is absolutely a hole that he has found himself in here, losing 25 or losing, what was that? Yeah, 18 workers total in this game is not really an easy scenario to come back from. Yeah, sure, Future lost his Banshees. Okay, well, that's something. It removes some map control. Future losing those Hellions, sure, the same. But he's going to have his upgrades done before Bioice. He's going to have... Actually, he's getting his push on right now because he does have Stim. Do we have any medevacs on the field yet? Answer is 2, but they're not with this army quite yet. They're going to have to boost across the map. And Future just does not want to give Bioice any time to think.
Yeah, he doesn't want to give him any time to recover. The Bane list isn't even up just yet. So that means the tank sieging up. The Marines are going to stim. The friendly fire does quite a bit of damage. The second tank hasn't been dropped out just yet, but now it will to try and tank up. One of the medevacs goes down, and these queens are fighting with dangerously low energy as the medevac gets pulled back. The tanks are still alive. The hot pickup not going to come through as the focus fire is good enough, and these Marines cannot stim again, but still a few queens are going to fall. Bioice cleans it up and is, I mean, holding on, but still losing 4 queens in total now. It's rough, and Future can afford to trade like this. Again, he's ahead. He has a third base already up. You're trading out units for what is vital to the Zerg macro.
And interestingly enough, in the battle report, siege tanks and unsieged tanks are different units, which I don't know. I thought that's kind of interesting. But knocking down those queens, you said it, Titan, that is a big problem. You need those queens to be defensive. You need those queens to spread creep. You need those queens to inject. And not losing 4 of them, yeah, 9 queens is kind of the meta at this point, 7 to 9 queens. So you did only deal with the defensive ones, as these banelings. Ooh, target fire there from Future is pretty fantastic. He's not going to lose much of anything. He does get a lot of banes, but losing those queens does significantly reduce your creep spread. And look at this Future. He's going for that 8 racks, and he's doing the even greedier version of that. He's getting add-ons on those additional 3 barracks.
Yeah, he's going to be going for really a very, very committed pressure. There's no 4th base. There's a 2nd factory even on the way. Is the focus fire from Future? What is this man doing?
He ate his Wheaties this morning,
insane.
Titan.
he had his wheat thins, whatever he eats. He has had a breakfast of champions because he is on fire so far in this game 1. Not just the focus fire, but he's all over the map as he's trying to strike 2 places at once. 2 bases under siege. This one is a little bit rougher. Only 2 tanks really left as the Marines have to be picked up, and that medevac will get on out. But Future is just, he's knocking down queens. He's got a position at this base. He's going to be able to clean up some of the creep. And now he's also dropping at the 4th, which was established.
Yeah, man, Future, he's going to get convicted of regicide after this game. What is this, 6 queens that are dead now? 7 dead now. Future trying to target this 5th base down, 4th base, whatever you want to call it. And he is not going to get it. He's going to get it down pretty low, but he's not going to get it just yet. But Future's almost doubling the army supply. We just need to wait for that next rally of units to find their way onto the other side of the map. Now, Bioice was able to get ahead and upgrades just a little bit. If he waits long enough, he will have 2-2. But the tanks here, the Biolings are going to try to get on top of things. No. Bioice has no Future in this game. Future is the only one that had Future in this game. It's a 1-0 lead.
Yeah, and that was non-stop pressure. Absolutely beautiful to see how Future played that out. Of course, it helps that he got that early damage with the Hellions and with the Banshees, but those units got killed. Bioice could have recovered, but it was just Future constantly pushing those advantages and saying, hey, I can take a trade here, because even if I lose, that's fine for me since I'm so far ahead.
That it is. So I'm wondering what we're going to see now as we move into our second game in this series. That is, of course, Hardwire. It's a longer map. Arguably, it's more of a Zerg map. I think everyone would say it's a Zerg map unless you're Maru and love to take the game to 40 minutes. And we're going to have to see. Does Future want to go aggressive? He's always been a rather aggressive boy. Is Bioice prepared to hold? Hopefully, he doesn't lose 8 workers to 2 Hellions at the start of the game and only kill one Hellion in response, because that, regardless of what else happened in that game, that felt game ending by itself, Titan.
Yeah, I mean, we both know this matchup. We've both played it before. 2 Hellions, they should not be a threat. You should have, even if you only have 4 Lings, you should have a Queen there. The fact that Bioice took that much damage, that early on especially, was definitely enough to start the snowball. But we're in, never mind, we're not into map number 2 because Bioice accidentally picked Terran. So we're going to have a little bit longer of a break before we head into that second map.
I mean, you know, we've seen prominent players go and play their off race. Raynor took maps off MaxPax playing Terran in EBT Cups. We all remember Scarlet hitting DRG with the old 7 gate when it was stupid broken. You know, it's all good. Although I can't imagine Bioice wants to play TVT versus Future. Because, as I'm given to understand it, no one wants to play TVT. Unless you're Maru.
I mean, yeah, unless you're Maru and you enjoy suffering. But yeah, that was. We'll see. We'll get the lobby back up here and we'll head on into this series, as Hardwire is going to be the destination. And of course, we saw in Europe just how good Hardwire is for Turtle Terran. You be aggressive with Bio, and you can absolutely be aggressive on this map, but only to a certain point. And then as soon as you got into 4 bases, turtle up. And so this is a map where Future can play his style, and then he has a very, very strong safety net to fall back on if that doesn't kill Bioice. So we're going to need to see a lot cleaner play from our Zerg player.
That we will. Point stands. Hardwire is the map. It's still a ZVT. Well, actually, I guess it is now a ZVT now. We had a TVT earlier. That's fun. But we're going to have to see. Does Bioice find it within himself to get his revenge for Namshar? Again, Namshar, his teammate, much like Estrella is Future's. So, I don't know. Maybe there's a little bit more riding on this map and in this series than just group placement. But we're going to have to figure out what exactly can happen because, hey, you know what? Game 2. In the bottom left now, folks. Hey, he's in the red. He's up 1. He got far more value than he ever had any right to. He's Future.
And in the top right, definitely going to need to see that early game cleaned up if he hopes to take this game, let alone the series. Ladies and gentlemen, from Sidestorm Gaming, it's Bioice.
See people in chat asking who won? The fans. The fans are the people that have won today. Well, actually, if we have to remake games, it's not really the fans winning, is it?
I mean, none of us like delays, but it happens for various reasons. Players ask for them, a wrong race is picked, and obviously you can't really switch race in the middle of the series. But we'll see. I mean, honestly, one thing that I've always thought would be very fun is to see a tournament, like a an actual tournament for pros where they have to play an off race and see how that goes. I feel like that would be very fun if we got to see like Maru's Zerg versus Raynor's Terran.
I mean, that's something that we have seen. I feel like we've seen that before, like Rotterdam has run events, so we've seen these online cups. But yeah, man, going something really big, like an actual DreamHack Premier, $25,000 tournament or something on LAN where everyone had to play random. I don't know. I don't know if that would be as interesting as players playing the races they've practiced for years and years and years, because that is part of the storyline. That is part of the drive from things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Although it is interesting when you think about off racing. I mean, obviously we mentioned the most recent case of Raynor. Scarlet was, I think, the original case of that in the tournament versus DRG, which you also mentioned. And I remember a while ago that when Maru was streaming on Twitch, there was a curious VOD of him playing his off race of Zerg, which was quite interesting to see. His future here is being quite greedy for the creep tumor, and it doesn't look like he's going to be able to escape the 4-4 Reaper, trapped and killed, and that's why you don't get too greedy, folks.
Nice stoning there from the Queen, cutting off the point where the Reaper wants to go to quite get at the Reaper Cliff, but that means there will be no Reaper with the Hellion pressure, but that also means that there is no Hellion pressure necessarily, because Future is going for a 2-1-1 in this game number 2. Does that mean it will be a 2-1?
That's an interesting point you bring up. And as a response, I say I have no idea, but it's been a while since we've seen the 2-1-1. Of course, there was a period where, and it's funny I did just mention him, Maru was absolutely dominating TVZ with this build order. His was a slightly different variation where, of course, he would use the 2 medevacs to get map control, but not push until he added on a 3rd with extra Marines and a Widowmine. And so we'll see what Future is going to do with this 2-1-1. Of course, it's going to be the immediate stim. Marines produced the reactor onto the factory, and that's going to be swapped over for the starport. And then we'll see what the build is going to be from there. This Overlord will get full information, though. Nothing to see that it was approaching from the edge of the base. So Bioice should have a complete idea of what this is. And of course, the 2-1-1, it's not like a cheesy build. It is an aggressive build, but it is still macro oriented.
That it is. So what you're telling me, Titan, is we're just going to have to wait and see what the future has in store for us?
Perhaps. Or you can make predictions here as 2 medevacs on the way. It's actually going to be immediately into a 3rd barracks. So no like Widowmines from this factory. Occasionally you'll see players add on, 2 Widowmines or so on that factory. But we're just going to see the swap off. It's going to be the 2 medevacs moving on out. And so far, there we go. Extra Widowmine being added on with Marines. And then that will be the 3rd medevac that's going to head across the map. And now it's going to come down to the control. How many Lings does Bioice have? 24. Very, very healthy. Going up to 30 is a little bit overkill for the first wave, but should definitely be enough to hold it off as a stim in. Not going to be able to get the Queen. Medevac's going to have to pick up. Have to be careful, though, and some Marines get left behind. That's already a good start here for Bioice.
Yeah, this is exactly what you're looking for if you are Bioice. You don't lose any Queens, you lose some Lings, but Lings are made to die anyway, so they're okay with that one. They accept their fate. But here comes the 3rd medevac with the Widowmine, with these Marines. And imagine how much more powerful it would be if you had those, those 6 additional Marines that Future did have to leave behind. Regardless, though, push is happening here. 4th base on the way for Bioice. And we're going to have to... Future has an opportunity here to cancel that one. He's going to see it here. Be very careful with that low medevac. But he says, let me boost into the main base. The Lings are not just there just yet. Unloading on top of things. Widowmine is going to look for that burrow. We will see 1 medevac go down. So actually, no friendly fire, really. Widowmine burrowing up once again. The splits are pretty good. Pretty good.
And Bioice managing to mitigate most of the damage there as the Marines are going to try and stim on this 4th. Again, we would like to see it earlier, but should still be able to get the cancel regardless, and will delay that 4th base timing for Bioice, who's just going to go ahead and replant it. Now, tanks and Liberators in production here. The Liberator will most likely be used to clear out that Overlord, and then they will be used for harassment options. Again, these medevacs, their only job right now is to stay on the map, to be aggressive, to try and keep the Zerg back and also apply pressure. But look at this once again, Bioice adding on a ton of hatcheries as soon as he knows that the threat is no longer there.
That's like that's almost 1,000 minerals that Bioice is spending on his expansions right now, that's a lot of money. But you're right, he's held this off. He feels rather confident now in his ability to deal with the Terran pressure. But Future supply continues to expand. He's going double Liberator on top of this. He has 2 tanks done. 3rd one on the way. Got to be careful from this drop, though. Target fire from Future is going to be fantastic to start, even as he does lose a couple Marines. But you said these Liberators for harass, Titan. There's a world now where these Liberators, they pair up with the tanks, and this push from Future starts to get really scary.
Yeah, and it feels like Bioice also might not have quite been expecting this, but it's a hidden push. Future not really revealing just yet. Good focus fire on the Banelings once again. And now suddenly you have a tank, you have Liberators, you have additional Marines. It's a 5 racks that Future has now sprung onto his opponent. And Bioice, are you going to be ready? More Banelings being morphed in. Centrifuge hooks not quite done yet as 2 tanks are sieging on up. And Future doesn't quite know that there's an additional base over to the left side here. Should be able to scout it out. He just sends a few Marines over. Lings and Bane gonna look for this collapse now. Speed is done, and there's just so much here for Bioice. The focus fire from the tanks is good. He's gonna be able to get rid of a lot of the Banelings, but it's not gonna be enough as they crash through. And Future is just gonna lose so much.
Well, I mean, hold on here for a second. It's only 4 Banes, only actually 2 Banes that come back behind this. Future does have his rally continuing across the map. He only lost 1 Liberator, so he has 3 of them sieging up. There are more tanks here, and it's going to be a matter of time before Bioice is able to actually get more Banelings on the field, set up another engagement like that one. Because, again, he lost all of his Banes, and the target fire coming down here as well. Oh. Nice hot pickup there from Future. He loses the tank, though. That's a bit of a problem as the Queen is sitting out of range of the Liberator, not really killing it just yet. Another tank's going to have to siege up. Bioice looking to sweep Future from the map right now, and he's going to be pretty successful on the reinforcements. Now the Liberators are gone. Now the tanks are, well, eventually they're going to be gone. There's only 1 Queen killing them right now. But now the tanks are gone. It's all down to the rally of Future once again as this map turns into almost a Berlingrad, a push me, pull you, ebb and flow, even dropping a mule to keep the Liberator alive. You love to see it there from Future.
Yeah, and this is it. He has to try and win with this push, mind you. It's 5 racks. He's all in. Fighting in the Liberator's not what Bioice wants to do. His Liberator shot's going to go through. 2 more Liberators joining up. The tank is hot pickup. And you're just using these Liberators to trim off some of these Zerg units as the reinforcements are coming in. But now Bioice is just collapsing on top of those rally points. And Future, he's trying his best, but the tank is going to go down. And it feels like this push is just running out of steam slowly but surely. A nice block there. Oh, Baneling rolling on in. Target fire not needed. And actually, Bioice loses a lot of Lings there trying to get through the front.
You know, the one thing we haven't talked about, and one thing we should talk about, is the upgrades in this game. It is 2-2 to +1. So if you want to talk about why Future was actually making it looking like he would push on through, target fire fantastic, and then that has just kind of stopped. The Lings have been living a lot longer than expected. Yeah, it is a 3 upgrade lead for the Zerg right now. It makes the supply differential matter a lot less. Ling Bane on creep is probably the most supply efficient composition you can have in this game. But here we go. This death zone that Future has set up for himself, regardless of the upgrades, is still a terrifying situation to find yourself in. But Bioice, he has almost a full 360 surround set up here. It's so hard for Future to figure out where exactly he wants to take the fight. So here come the Queens, here come the Lings, here come the Banes, and there is absolutely nothing that Future can really do to defend this one. The Liberators are starting to fall. The tanks have already fallen, and the Bio is just running on home in this game. There's really not a whole lot that Future can do, but he does push back for the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see at this point, I mean, Future, he doesn't have much left. Maybe pull some SCVs, but you have to do something else. You can't just keep rallying because obviously that's not going to work. You don't have the upgrades. You don't have just the massive advantage in units that you had before. Future realizes that it's just going to be a little bit too late. Taps out. GG. Bioice going to tie it up with some great defense there in game 2.
Future not inevitable in this game. Not at all. Bioice, he takes it. I was talking about how good Bioice has looked. That was a lot. That was, hey, you know, if you don't lose 20 or 18 workers before the 5-minute mark, it's funny how things go.
Yeah, it looks a whole lot cleaner when you have a healthy drone count. And also the 5 hatcheries all staying alive helps out a lot there for Bioice, has that constant production. And then, you know, Future, 5 racks just not quite working out. Felt like there were a few months where maybe he could have pushed it, but there was just so much production for the Zerg. And that means that we're going to an ace match. We're going to 2,000 atmospheres. And potentially, as always on 2,000 atmospheres, there's a chance for a very, very long game. Could also just be a short and sweet proxy 2 racks.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
There is a chance. And of course...
Well, no. Chance is a Korean Terran player, so no. There is no chance in this series. Sorry to disappoint you folks. Really don't mean to confuse. It's been a long day for Titan and I, so we got a little confused for a second. This is DreamHack North America.
Right.
It's not some sort of tier 2 Korean event. Just so we're clear on that.
Yeah. That's. I was like, damn, I can't go off that. You were very careful with your words. There are so many Korean pros with like just random words as names, and yet you avoided all of them.
You know what? What can I say? I'm good at what I do. in terms of inflicting chaos on the broadcast. In terms of casting well or producing or doing all that stuff, I mean, that's a different story. But if you're here for chaos, that's what I can provide, I guess. Folks, we have a countdown here for our next game. Eventually. Getting on in there. I was kind of hoping when you said if you're here for chaos, we just leave it silent for the rest of the time until we load into the game, and it's just very awkward. But you know, that's always the game. You know, who will break first? Who will speak first at the start of a game when there's something interesting to say? But we're finally here. 2000 Atmospheres is going to be the venue for the third game in this series, and for Bioice, chance here to maybe get his first win on the board for DreamHack. Absolutely. And you know, hey, you mentioned a player. Well, we'll introduce him again in the upper right. In the blue, he is playing for Storm, and he looks a lot better when he doesn't lose 20 workers. He is Bioice.
Bottom left-hand corner, he went a bit aggressive in that last game. The 5 racks not working out, but from Alpha X looking to make his score 2-2. He is Future. And is he the future of Terran?
Got a new joke, Titan. Come on.
Listen, sometimes you got to go for the low-hanging fruit, all right? It's there for a reason.
That it is. In fairness, I was gonna make a future joke too, and then I didn't. To go 2-2, he's got to get through a Zerg of blue, and that will be Bioice in this game. And we're gonna have to see. Again, Bioice looks good. I think we just throw that game one out the window. We say, you know what, these things happen. Sometimes things die. I don't think we're gonna see a 5 racks play from Future again, though.
Yeah, and I think this will probably be a much more standard build order from him, especially on 2000 Atmospheres. It's a map that players just feel comfortable playing standard on. You're never gonna see a player who's like, "Oh, I have to play on 2K Atmospheres. Well, may as well be aggressive because I don't want to play that map." No one's like that. And you know, even Bioice here, who has already lost thrice, is gonna be, I think, pretty comfortable going into a macro game, especially seeing what he did in that last game.
I buy that. And also, I would like to commend you for being a poet. Bioice, seen things thrice. Amazing. Incredible. The talent that I am stuck with here today.
Well, the feeling is mutual. As we are going to have that first Reaper poke on out. And so far, Future's Reaper control in this game has actually been pretty decent, especially in the first map where he was able to get a few kills. Looking for a drone here is going to force that morph into the Spore Crawler and then gets on out, no problemo. And we're also not going to see that 2-on-1 again. I think that's a build order that it's hard to decide how to balance it, because obviously the nice thing about the 1-1-1, the old school Destiny Cloud Fist, is that you get the Hellions, you get Banshees, you can really have your pick of how you want to open. It's very versatile, and you get map control a lot easier. Whereas in the 2-on-1, you're very reliant on that first swell of Marines, and Zergs have gotten so good at knowing how to deal with it.
They really have, and you talk about the 2-on-1 as well. You have to. You're guaranteed. You're mandated to get damage, because Zergs. You talk about you're worried about that first swell of Lings or not. Zergs have realized how late they can get it, so you just drone. It is probably the build order that allows a good Zerg to be the greediest version of themselves, because there are no Hellions, there's really no map control until that 5 minute and 30 second mark when the drop actually moves itself onto the other side of the map. Future, though, he does have a Liberator on the way, so we've seen Hellion Banshee one game, we've seen a 2-on-1 this game, we've seen Hellion Liberator one game. We've pretty much seen the whole gamut of Terran openings that are not really out there, so like a Battlecruiser build, something like that. The question, though, is where does Bioice look to go with this? We're not really going to see much tech differentiation for a bit longer, not until he gets Lair, and he says, oh, yes, I want to go Ling Bane, or whether it's Muto or Hydras or whatever it is. But I'm curious, because I don't feel like we've seen Bioice be able to have a game where he's the one that's had the agency. He's always been reacting to Future's pressure one way or the other.
Yeah, it definitely has been Future setting the pace of these games, and that I think this is the best map and the best chance for Bioice to do the same, where obviously Future is going for a very standard opening here. He's not going to be doing anything crazy, and so if you manage to not take any damage from this Liberator, from these Hellions, Bioice can definitely have the say in the pace of this game, as the Lings are going to be pulled back, but that might just leave an opening into the natural. Future not going to bite on that just yet, though. He's being very, very cautious with these Hellions and the Reaper.
It looks like Liberator looking to siege up in this natural. There's a Spore, actually maybe in the main base, okay. And the natural, there is a Spore for Bioice, but Bioice not really responding to this all that quickly. There we go, but he will lose only one worker at the end of things. Is Bioice paying attention to the third base? Queens are, at least the Queen's aggroed over, even if Bioice was not paying attention, but I think I saw his vision box there as well. Queen's trying to knock this down. Liberator getting very low now, so its time of utility on this game is really diminishing, but there we go. 1-1 upgrades on the way for the Zerg player. He's going to have his fourth base coming up rather soon. He's just going for a ground pounding style this game.
Yeah, it's going to be that Ling Bane, and obviously Future not far behind, has his 1-1 and combat shield. Stim already finished up, and it's going to be tanks once again. And we have kind of started to see is, ooh, nice pick off there. Already gets 4 drones, 6, and you can just pull on out with the Hellions is always worthwhile. As it does appear as though that Liberator did end up going down, trying to get out of that corner, and this is actually probably gonna be a cancel. The Zerglings and the Queens aren't here, and those Hellions have just enough DPS, also snipe the drone, so the fourth base is going to be delayed quite a bit. But and I completely forgot my train of thought before that, so
It's okay, we're 7 hours in. It's
end it off.
okay. But, ooh, Hellions, they're going to deny a second fourth just by existing. Bioice is not going to buy it and have to cancel it, so he doesn't really have to spend that money, or be forced to spend that money. But Future, he sees the drone, or Bioice went to send the drone over the left, and the presence of the Hellions prevents that one from happening. But Lair is just about done. How many gas do we have from Bioice right now? Looks like he's going 5 gas, so most likely he's going to look to move into Hydras at some point. But for now, heavy Ling Bane focus as Future gets his upgrades on the way as well. Combat shield's just about done. 1-1, all these wonderful things, and he will have a timing where he has 1-1, his opponent does not, and he will be able to trade maybe just a little bit better.
Yeah, because we do have the tank push going to be coming through, and it's been interesting how Terrans have decided that yes, the tank push is just better than Widow Mines, and Widow Mines do have a spot in the meta. Of course, we see Clem still use Widow Mines. As here we go, actually this surround not going to be the greatest Future with a really good pullback, and the Banelings were not there in time, as now the Hellions are going to be joining on in. And Bioice, you got to be careful. That's another cancel on the 4th.
And Titan, we got to remember here, this style that Bioice has gone for, heavy Ling Bane focus, heavy ground focus, decent run by, gets 6 workers. But this style that Bioice has gone for is predicated upon being able to be greedy. You build a lot of Ling Bane because it's cheap, because you're able to make something happen. But on the flip side, you need that larva. So here come the Lings on top of the tanks. Tanks actually not going to target fire these Banes down. They want to, but they're not going to get them in time. So the army comes crashing forward. Future maybe hanging around just a little bit too long. Bioice is able to make the cleanup happen. And remember, he did find value on the other side. But count the number. Okay, it is only 5 racks. Okay. Nope, never mind. 8 racks, but after the 4th base. So we're totally fine. Yeah. We're all good.
Standard Terran play so far here from Future, but it has gotten so much value canceling that 4th so many times. And sure, you lose some workers, but right now you're up 4 workers as Future. It's 64 to 61. It's going to try and look for that cancel again. Just has to back on out even with the Hellbat morph. And I think the big part of why that had to be canceled is that the centrifugal hooks was so delayed for Bioice. He had the gas for it. I think had just forgotten and only realized when his Banelings were still so slow. But is now adding that on with his +2, with the muscular augments as well, as he's going to look to get into the Hydralisks, and that means that, of course, it's going to be Lurkers on 2,000 atmospheres. And my, oh my, we have not seen Lurkers in a while in this matchup.
Well, is it because we haven't seen Lurkers for a while in this matchup? Because we just haven't gotten a lot of ZVT as of late. Well, certainly not since the patch, but here, a little bit of a push on the right side. It's going to get a Queen, which Doesn't feel like it ever should, but that's because Bioice is paying attention on the other side of the map. He's able to wipe this one out just a little bit. Future keeps dropping things down, so he's trying to trade for some Banes. That's a lot of Banes to trade for that tank. But what I want to point out, what I want to look at here is while Future's mineral income, and he was briefly up on SCVs by about 10, he's not really expanding his army supply all that quickly. Now, part of this is we're 9 minutes in. He got a quick 4th base. He wasn't quite able to get, his production was not quite as massive as it might otherwise be if this was, say, an 8-Rex or something. But Bioice has done a fairly good job of at least keeping the supplies somewhat even. We're not seeing Future just run away with his big Terran push.
Absolutely, as we're going to see another attack here from Future. There is Lings, Banes, and Hydras already here. The whole army is going to be brought over eventually. And as Future, you have to be careful because you are trading out a lot of tanks. And one of the big issues that we sometimes see from Terrans, there we go, a good pickup onto the Marines, but the tanks are sacrifice, is that if you sacrifice too many tanks and you lose too many, you're not going to be ready for when that lurker transition comes through, and you suddenly have to deal with, 7, 8 lurkers that are now trying to be aggressive.
Well, we're going to have to see whether Future is prepared for that one, because for now, on the map here, he's knocking down Overlords, knocking down Creep Spread. And Bioice's creep spread is quite objectively terrible. He really does not have more than a single screen of creep away from any of his bases. It does make it a lot easier for Future to get the next level of his pressure on. And we're talking about supply leads. Partially it was because Bioice has maybe been saving money to build lurkers. Part of it was that he was supply blocked by losing a lot of Overlords. But Future has opened up a 40 army supply lead in this game, which means he can put pressure on both sides of the map right now. He has decent pressure on the right side, but there are enough Banes and Hydras will force that back for now. But the tech of the army is on the left. With the tanks, with this army, we see Future already swapping his vision over, getting ready for that push. And the question now is whether Bioice is prepared. It looks like he should be with these 4 lurkers. I don't know that Future is aware of this just yet.
Yeah, now he's going to stim in just the Marauders, which obviously do very, very well against these lurkers. Actually already going to get 2, looking for the 3rd, can't quite get it, but the Banelings all connect onto Marauders, which is absolutely worthwhile, as the Terror and the Marines, though, can't really push in. I mean, he's going to try, but there's a single Baneling in there, does get focus fired, but still these lurker spines doing so much damage. You have to be careful, Future, that you don't go too far, as his army is getting a little bit low, but the medevacs, so many of them healing this army up. And that is most of the lurker presence now gone, if not all of it. Lurkers having to be morphed in once again, and mind you, I mean, behind this, Future's on 4 bases, some great step backs on those Banelings. And Bioice, he doesn't have enough on this flank when the attack actually came in, and now it's just a singular lurker.
Yeah, 1 lurker is not enough. You talked about that last fight, how scary it is to stim Marines onto lurkers. Yeah, sure, but when you have the concave like that, it's a bit of a problem. But oh, wait a minute here, Future. He didn't see that last lurker. He's taking so much damage from it. Really, it is only tanks that remain. It's a 3rd scan, but it does not matter that there is a lurker doing a lot of damage, because Future, he looked into that crystal ball. He figured out that he is winning this series.